Hello and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm alright. Doing alright. Back for the first time this year doing our, new things we've watched. Had a great time talking The Mummy last time. Nice to cover The Hammer's The Mummy. I think the most underrepresented of the Mummy movies, apart from maybe the Universal sequels. But
the later Mummy
yeah.
movies, I don't think anybody really talks about the later ones either, the Hammer ones.
That's what I mean. The Hammer Mummy movies seem to be ignored. It's all about the Universal horror run, the first run, and then the Brendan Fraser movies.
Yeah. I think it's just, I don't know whether it's like a mummy thing, because I think in general people seem to sort of forget about Mummy as a monster. He's sort of one of those like lesser ones, isn't he? Because
I think that might be because that first Universal movie, he is a mummy for about 5 seconds.
Yes.
And then he becomes, do you know what I mean? So it's kind of that he's less of a showy monster like Frankenstein or the Wolfman or Creature, that Frankenstein's monster, sorry. I always have to correct myself whenever I fucking say that, because I sound like I think I'm an asshole if I'm like, I need to clarify. I'm talking about the monster.
People really hate it, but it's the thing that my brain's always done.
Yeah, same. I can't help it. I'm slow to learn new things, so once it's in there, it's and done.
I think it's also to do with character as well. I think because you got Dracula is a pretty big presence. Yeah. Frankenstein and the monster are both big presences.
And Creature is as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but, good movie. But today we are talking new things we've seen. Do you want to kick us off with something?
Sure. I'll start with Anatomy of a Fall.
Anatomy of a Fall. Don't know anything about this one, so take it away.
So it came out the end of last year.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to watch it before, our thingies, our tops, but I couldn't get a copy of it. So, but I've seen it now, and it's a French movie, directed by Justine Trion, and stars Sandra Heller, Swan Arnaud, and Milo Marchardo Grenard.
Okay.
Which of those people's names? So basically, we are introduced to Sandra Voiter, who she's a German writer who's living with her husband and her son in Switzerland.
Right.
And they're living in a chalet that he is converting, or he's renovating. Her husband, is renovating. And she is in the very beginning. She is being interviewed by a young student, and about her writing. And she says about how her writing is informed by real life and real things, and she likes to push the fiction and stuff. And she's clearly flirting with this young woman. And we see her son, who is partially sighted. He's with his dog. He's bathing his dog, and then he goes for a walk. And the husband, all of a sudden, you don't see him, but he's upstairs in the loft, and he starts playing incredibly loud music. And then the song repeats as soon as it ends.
Right.
To the point where Sandra and her interviewer really can't hear themselves speak, so she ends the interview abruptly and sends her on her way.
Yeah.
The next thing you see is the son coming back home, and as he's walking towards the front door, his father is led on the floor in front of the house, dead basically. He's got a gash on his head. It looks like he's fallen from the attic window, and he's dead. So then what unfolds is the police turn up and they investigate, and because 3 of the blood drops from the fall don't match exactly what they think happened, she is prosecuted. She's charged. So then basically what unfolds is a trial, and through the movie, things are slowly, told to you through audio and through certain testimonies, and you learn about their relationship and how her husband was a teacher, but he was also a novelist as well, and they had a very sort of a strange relation. They had a strange relationship towards the end, and Sandra's hires a lawyer who was one of her friends from a long time ago, who turns out loved her. So he's, seems to have a vested interest in helping her because and I'm certainly not going to spoil anything in this movie. But this movie is amazing.
Great.
It's so, the tension in this movie is amazing, and it's so engrossing. The way that the director and the writer, the way she sort of ekes out these little bits of information as the movie goes along.
Yeah.
Just keeps you guessing constantly. I don't think you're ever really sure, one way or another, whether she's guilty or not.
Yeah.
Whether it was an accident, or whether she pushed him, or whether... They do such a good job of keeping you guessing. It's amazing. There were bits where the prosecutor is this really cool guy who's pushing her, and he's feeding back her lines from her interview with this girl about reality, and how she, things that have happened to her seem to turn up in her books, and you can see, you're sort of like, hang on, he's bending reality here. It's like he's pushing the wrong things, but you can see why he's doing it, and you can see what's her reaction.
Yeah.
And of course, what's really cool is she's German, and she speaks French, but not brilliantly. So she has to keep speaking English, and it's really cool because there's this sort of dynamic where occasionally she'll have to sort of like rely on her English to explain things, and trying to get the nuances of language from French to English, or and that's not her own language, so she sort of at certain disadvantages in certain bits. It's amazing. It's so good, and the actors are great. The young kid, Milo, is wonderful. I think they spent months and months trying to find the right kid, and they found him in this kid. Because he's like partially blind and stuff, and they bring him in for his initial testimony, because he says, oh, before I left, I heard them talk, and they didn't sound like they were arguing. And of course then the police come in, and they stand him outside, and they put the music on, and then they read what was supposed to be said, and they see that he couldn't hear shit. He's like,
right.
And he says, no, maybe I was inside, maybe I wasn't outside, maybe I was inside. And I was, that's only a minor thing, so I'm not giving
no, yeah.
But it just shows you these wonderful sort of sects, bits where they sort of the process of what it takes to sort of try and get this the truth out of these people, and to see whether what they're saying is, it's not just the truth, but whether it's just their version of what happened, or and things like when the psychiatrist is brought in for the husband psychiatrist, and things he says, and how she reacts to it, and she says, but you're only getting what he says to you. You're only, you're just reacting to. He says, that's not how we lived. That's just, that's not. Yeah. So you're constantly sort of having to think about how much, how the perception of other people, the perception of even the person that you're married to, is really that much of that person. And you know, maybe your relationship, the dynamic in your relationship, isn't what you think it is.
Yeah.
You know, and certainly not. Well, yeah. Trying to say something without giving anything away here.
I hate it when you gotta do that.
I watched it with my wife. We were both thoroughly gripped.
Amazing.
It's one of it's kind of less about the actual crime itself and more about the relationships and things.
Right.
But it is a sort of not a murder mystery, but it's a mystery movie. You know, it is a crime movie, if you like, in the you know, something has happened, and you know, but it's not a sort of detective movie. You know, it's not a sort of this guy's trying to, you know, prove that she did it or not prove it. It's not that sort of movie. It's sure there are elements of that, but it's to do with this, you know, these characters and their lives and how people react to people and what relationships really are. It's a stunningly done movie. I highly recommend it. I think if you love a good sort of, you know, drama, you know, crime drama, then this is perfect. It's so beautiful, really, really good. I mean, I've not seen, I don't think, any of the actors before, and I've not seen anything by the director before. I think she has done a few things, but this was wonderful. I really loved it. It's a real gripping drama. It's great. Loved it.
Okay, well, Anatomy of a Fall. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I don't think I've even heard of it, so yeah, I look forward to checking that one out for sure.
Yeah, I saw a trailer for it a while, you know, last year, and
right.
it immediately thought, wow, that looks really good. That looks really interesting, and it really is. I think it won like the Palme d'Or and stuff like that. So it's you know, it's, and not that really should give you, you know, say much, because awards don't mean fucking shit anymore.
Not anymore.
But you know, it was widely received praise. You know, it's a really good movie.
Cool. Well, I was struggling to find stuff this time around. I was like, oh god, there was nothing that really spoke to me. So I was like, I just need to find a couple of movies, sit down and watch them. One of those movies, I guess, is just come to Netflix. Is a 2023 movie, much like Anatomy of a Fall. Is The Kitchen.
Right. Yep, I saw the trailer for that.
Yeah, so science fiction drama starring Kane Robinson and Jediah Bannerman. It's a dystopian London, dystopian near future, I guess, where effectively social housing has been removed and eliminated, and you've got this over gentrification of London, but there's this area called The Kitchen, where basically people are they have this community that are basically refusing to abandon their housing. So you've got this area of London that's being encroached on all sides, I guess, by this gentrification, and this community within The Kitchen are trying desperately to keep their homes. We meet Izzy, played by Kane Robinson. He does funerals, and he is desperately trying to escape The Kitchen. He's like, I want this life that everyone else has, you know, on the like the high life of London, where I get my, you know, clinical little box room with like a you know, monitors instead of windows, and it shows me nice views but not real views, you know. And then the movie kind of plays on that, where you've got like you get the impression that the gentrified areas of London are kind of like this real clinical kind of surgical box rooms with fake windows and stuff, whereas in The Kitchen you've got real life, you know, real people, community, and all of that kind of stuff. And you know, it's this kind of boiling pot, you know, of a boiling pot of this community trying to fight back against the government that are kind of encroaching, with the police coming in, and everything's just waiting for this excuse for the police to come in and forcibly remove them. So Kane meets Kane's the actor's name. Izzy meets Benji, this 12-year-old kid who's just lost his mother. And they basically form this kind of family between them where Izzy, starts to care for Benji and wants to kind of see him done right, and try and kind of, I guess, ultimately pull him out of the kitchen, because he believes leaving the kitchen is the thing to do. Everyone around Izzy is very content and happy to stay in the kitchen. So he's throughout the movie going through this kind of journey of wanting to leave, then wanting to leave with and take Benji with him, and then ultimately realizing, I guess, that this is kind of his home and where he belongs in this community. This movie is, I was actually pleasantly surprised with this film. I wasn't sure what to expect because I hadn't seen any trailers or anything. I just saw, dystopian movie. I like dystopian movies. I'm a fan of a dystopian future movie.
I must admit, my love for dystopian movies is waning somewhat as we approach them.
Yeah, I know. There were moments of this where I was like, "Oh Christ, this is coming soon."
Yeah.
This is probably our future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much fun when it's like during the pandemic when there were like pandemic movies. I was like, "Fuck off."
Yeah,
I don't care. I'm not watching your pandemic movie.
I don't really want to watch a movie about disease when we're
or ever again
stuck in our own houses.
Yeah, or ever again, to be honest. But yeah, so I thought this was a fine movie. It's a nice kind of grounded future where you've got like existing London architecture and they've kind of added bits and kind of, you've got the futuristic background. Pretty much all of the film just happens in the kitchen though, so you don't really see the gentrified areas other than they're kind of the backdrop. But I thought this was really well acted. I think the cast are superb. Jediah Bannerman, this kid playing a 12-year-old, I'm not sure how old the actor is. He's fantastic. I hope to see him in some other things. I thought the pacing's a little off in places. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it, obviously it's got obvious social commentary. It's got some racial commentary in there. You're following predominantly black people, but you can see that the kitchen is made up of all kinds of ethnicities and white people and everything. But it is centered around a group of black people. So you do get some racial commentary there. But it's well done. Ian Wright. Is Ian Wright an actor now?
Not the footballer.
Yeah, he's in this as a radio.
Oh God, man, that dude annoys the crap out of me.
He's fine in this because he's actually playing a radio disc jockey. He's like the radio disc jockey for the kitchen, and I think he's meant to be annoying, so it kind of works. Well,
my God, he's called Lord Kitchener.
Yes, he's very much like. He's very much the stereotypical radio disc jockey celebrity. Yeah. He's the celebrity of the kitchen. You never really see him outside of his room where he's delivering his speeches. I actually thought when I first saw him, I was like, "Is that Ian Wright?" And I was like, "Surely that's not Ian Wright." But then I was like, "Oh no, it is Ian Wright." And no, he's fine though. He kind of plays that the role that oh God, his name escapes me now. V for Vendetta, they had the comedian in that. He's kind of filling that role where he's kind of like overstepping his bounds and the government are kind of waiting for an excuse to take him out. I don't know why.
You mean oh my God.
I can literally see him, and for some reason his name has completely escaped me. I don't know why.
Stephen Fry's
Thank you, Stephen Fry. Jesus Christ.
His character.
His name just completely disappeared from my brain there for a minute. He's kind of playing that kind of character.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, I thought this was a really nice little story. It's not an action movie by any stretch. It's very much a character study and a kind of social commentary, as I said. But I thought it was really well done. It's directed and written by Daniel Kaluuya. it's not going to blow your socks off or blow you away. It's all been done before, but it was fine. It was a fine movie. It's well shot. It's well made and well acted. Yeah. So I recommend it. Like I said, you're not going to find anything terribly original here, but
I must admit, I saw the trailer and I thought, oh, London dystopia, like
it's too close to real life, man.
Yeah, and I saw that sort of it was predominantly black people. Now, I'm not saying that was. I'm not saying that was. It's got black people, so I'm not going to watch it. Like, I saw the black people in a dystopian London and thought, okay, this is going to be about race, then, isn't it? It's. And I thought,
I mean, it undeniably is in places. I mean, you can't escape that. But it's well done commentary. And like I said, you while we are focusing on the black community within the kitchen, it's quite clear that there are plenty of different ethnicities in the kitchen, and they're all kind of fucked by the government effectively. It's just told from a black perspective, so there is commentary there. But like I said, it is well done. It's like I said, you're not going to find anything here that's going to blow you away. It's not going to be like, oh my god, this is reinvented dystopian movies forever or anything. It's all been done, but it's done well here. It's well acted, and it's a decent movie. So I was reasonably impressed with it. So there you go.
Maybe I will give it a go after all. Then.
It may be worth a watch. Anyway, what else have you watched?
So should we do 60 minutes?
Sure, let's do 60 minutes. So this was the other movie where I was like, I need something to watch. And I was like, oh, martial arts movie. Cool.
This was the first movie I watched, out of the group that I
same.
watched.
Same.
I saw the sort of trailer and thought,
I was in the mood for some escapism and some people beating each other up. Yeah. So this movie centers around MMA fighter Octavio. Yeah. And basically he's about to enter the cage for this big fight that's been well promoted, and they're gonna have this big fight.
Yeah, he's like literally about to go in. He's
not like
literally waiting for the other guy to turn up so that
he's running late at the start of the movie, right? Because he's running late at the start of the movie because he's at his.
He's the other guy is.
Oh, is it the other guy that's running late?
Yeah, the other guy's running late, and he keeps being put.
Oh, that's right, because he's meant to be warming up, but he's having like full-on fight matches with his two sparring partners, and the guy's like, "Calm the fuck down! You need to actually fight in a minute."
Yeah. He's like, I love it. He says to him, he says, keep him warm, but don't don't overdo it. It's like he's still got to fight.
So he basically is, as you said, literally gloves on, wraps on, gloves on, about to enter the fucking cage when he gets a call from his ex-wife, who basically says, you're going to lose custody of your daughter forever. It's her birthday, and this is the final straw. I've given you plenty of warnings before. You've ignored them. If you're not here within an hour, you're losing custody of her forever. That's it. Done. So
and he's brilliant because he's planned. I love it at the beginning because he's got a birthday card.
Yes.
And he just doesn't know what to write.
No.
And I like that he puts. I can't remember is it Leo? His daughter's called Leo,
I think, yeah.
And he writes, "Dear Leo."
I know.
And his mate goes, "What? Are you writing a letter? Who are you writing to? This is your daughter."
Yeah.
And I love it. He's got this plan. He's got this plan to buy. He's got a cake. He's going to buy.
He's going to get a cat.
And he's going to pick up a cat from a shelter. That it's going to be wonderful. He's got all these wonderful plans, and then it just completely goes to shit because his ex-wife says, "Nope, you got an hour."
Yes, well, not only that. So that happens. He basically leaves, and everyone's like, "What what are you doing? We're literally about to have this fight."
Fuck! He just gets up and goes. He walks away.
He walks away, and then basically starts running away. Grabs a cab. Unfortunately, he's then pursued by people, and at first he's a bit confused as to why that's happening. Other than they're desperate for him to fight for some reason.
Yeah, when he's going into the match. There are these sort of
shady characters.
Obvious fucking gangsters, like cheering him on and being fucking over enthused about his fighting. It's like, okay, that dude needs to fucking step back.
Yeah. But he gets a cab. Unfortunately, it's also rush hour, which makes the problem even worse. And minor spoiler, we come to learn pretty early on that the fight was meant to be rigged and his opponent was going to take a fall.
Yeah,
there's a lot of money.
Yeah, he's supposed to win in the third round, basically.
Yes. He was unaware of this.
Yeah, his best mate, his
asshole best mate.
I think he's supposed to be his manager, isn't he?
I think he's like best friend and manager, yeah.
Yeah. He's basically made this deal with these gangsters that, so there's a lot of money going on. And basically...
The gangsters are like, he needs to come back and fight.
Yeah. If he doesn't fight, all that money disappears no matter, what. It just goes. And
yeah. Well, yeah, because because he even says at one point, he's like, well, if I don't fight, they get their money anyway. And he's like, no, this deal is like, they've completely screwed themselves if you don't fight. Like, they're losing the money. So, because I think there was like a no-show clause or something to where this money's lost if they don't. So now he's being chased by gangsters and whatnot, and he's on foot, and he's got to do lots of fights, and occasionally talk to his daughter.
And you get like a countdown, and you get
you get a little map
that comes up that shows.
It's very much like the Warriors. It's like, how far has he got in the
shows you when he makes deviations. It's like shit. Now he's going like in circles. Fuck.
So, I enjoyed this movie.
I love this movie.
I thought the fight scenes were great.
The fights are really good.
Really good. If I had one criticism. It is that Octavio's a bit of a dick and often is his own worst enemy. But I guess that's probably just his character. So
that's why I love him.
Yeah, it kind of worked. Like, the bit with the cops, I was like, dude, you fucking deserve this. You are
the bit with the cops was definitely...
I was like, this is all your fault.
But they were assholes too.
They were, but he did not approach them in a good way. And it's like, dude... You're on a very tight line. There was also a part of me where I was like, I'm not quite sure. And if the movie communicated this and I missed it, this is on me. I didn't get a sense of how far away the place was that he needed to get to.
No.
But I was like, dude, you are in ludicrous shape. Could you not just run the whole way there and you would have avoided all of this problem if you just ran from the start?
Yeah.
I know he's got like the cake to pick up and stuff, but it kind of felt like...
distance doesn't look that big when you see the
and I was like, rush hour traffic, just run, or take one of those scooters, which he later takes anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't really show you scale, so I really have no idea how.
But that's the thing, it's one of those things that like the Warriors did very well.
Yes.
Was that idea of like showing you how far they're going and how far they've got to go. It is very good at showing the vast distance they need to travel. Here it was like, it just feels like if he ran, he'd probably make it in time.
Yeah, I guess it relies more on your knowledge of Berlin.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand that Berlin is fucking massive. So
yeah,
fine.
And I've seen a lot of movies that show Berlin quite well. I mean, we even did,
but they don't
Wings
really
of
show
Desire and stuff like that. And Run Lola Run. It's they've got similar sort of stuff that you see a lot of Berlin.
Yeah,
but that doesn't really tell you the distance of places.
But yeah, so I agree with you. I don't know that it's a flaw with the film, but I did find Octavio slightly frustrating and not terribly likable in places where I was like, this is your own fault, you idiot.
I found him weirdly charming.
I did towards the end. So as the movie went on, I was like, okay, I'm getting there. But initially, and certainly that first interaction with the cops, I was like, you're an idiot. You deserve this.
Okay, he's definitely an idiot.
But by the end, and more importantly, who gives a shit? It's a martial arts movie, and the fighting in this is tremendous.
Yeah, really good.
You can tell he definitely knows how to fight.
Yeah.
Like, for real. And so do the people fighting him. The fight scenes are really nicely kind of grounded. You've got these great scenes where it's like, well, there's like 12 of them, they're going to kick his ass. But then it's like, but we need him to fight, so you can't beat him up too much. So it's like, oh, okay, that kind of works. Like,
he's still got to fight.
Yeah, he's still got to fight.
I love that there was a lot of sort of, choke outs and stuff, and even he gets choked out.
He does, yeah.
They basically dogpile him and choke him out at one point, and it's like,
and then put him in the car and hope that he stays knocked out the whole time and don't do anything about, like, tying him up or ensuring anything. I was waiting for him just to kick that guy opposite him. I was like, this is not going to end well for you, sir.
But I think they did a really good job of redeeming him. Well,
I agree.
Exactly redeeming him, but
showing his heart.
You understand, especially when I think he goes to see his parents.
Yes, absolutely. And his dad's speech,
where he goes to see his parents, I thought was really good. Especially what his dad says.
I was going to say his dad's speech, I think, was
because you can
really
see that his dad's distant from him as well. His mother is all over him. His mother is, but his dad is distancing. But what he says, is like, oh, that is perfect.
This explains everything.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah,
and I just love. There's just he's got these great expressions. There are these brilliant bits where he thinks he's sort of like not exactly home free, but he thinks he's past it, and then another group turns up and he's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I will say, another thing, he's not the most intelligent guy.
No,
and he does have these fights or narrowly escape people, and then instead of running, he walks away.
Yeah.
Only to realize that obviously they're like 5 paces behind him. He's like, oh yeah, they're still chasing. It's like, no, if you just beat them up and then run, you'll probably get away. But he keeps walking away.
I mean, I actually think they do quite a good job. I mean, it's still over the top, and he's still surviving stuff that he probably shouldn't. But I do think they do a very good job of seeing how tired he's getting.
Oh, yeah. He's exhausted by the end. It's like, oh my god, he might die. Is he going to make this?
There's a bit where, I don't want to spoil it too much. There's a bit where he's on the train. He gets on the train.
That interaction with that girl.
Someone gives him a bottle and looks at him. They're all sort of blatantly scared of him. But there's a woman sat across from him and she's looking at him and she sees how knackered he is. And she gives him a bottle of water.
The interaction with him and that little girl is really cute, where she's like, is this you? Because he's like on the train with he's like tied to a seat. It's in the trailer, on the Netflix trailer is that scene. Well, no, it's one of those, if you hover over the video long enough, Netflix cannot possibly just be quiet. Like, it has to constantly do stuff. So
turn that off, I don't think either.
I've muted it.
Used to be able to, I think, but I don't think you can anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I had a blast watching this. It's only an hour and a half long. I think it might be in real time once things kick off. I'm not sure.
I think mostly, I think so. It feels...
Because you've got about 10-15 minutes at the start, and then once the thing starts, it is pretty much, give or take, 60 minutes. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Really good fun. And most importantly, the martial arts are fantastic, which is what you want from a martial arts movie. That's like, the key element.
One of the things that I loved is you've got the group of gangsters that are chasing him. Well, they're all pretty big dudes, but there are like 2 bosses.
Yeah,
and one of them is absolutely ginormous.
He gets the shit kicked out of him too.
It takes a while for him to fight, but I was sat there thinking,
he's gonna get involved.
Is this dude gonna fight? Because he's like bigger than all of them.
Yeah, and then he makes a mistake of hitting the cake, and that's it. And so on. I loved the gym fight they have. That was awesome.
The gym fight was great.
The gym fight, because he's like, "What? The gym's on the way, so I'm going to get my buddies to fight you guys as well." I was like, "This is great."
And I like the little dynamic between him and Cosima, and Paul.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Because Paul's obviously his best mate, but he's also a bit of a dick too.
Yeah, but you do get his motivations towards the end. He's like, dude, we were running out of money. You were going to be like bankrupt soon. I was trying to help you. I'm an asshole, but I was trying to help you. I thought it was great.
Cosima, is it Marie Morum? She's a stunt actress. I know she was in. She's been in loads of Marvel movies.
Oh, okay. I was going to say she definitely knows how to fight too.
Yeah, she was one of the. Wow. What do they call them? The Dommage? Is it?
Is that in Doctor Strange?
No, the Wakanda ones. The women warriors.
Yeah. I know the ones.
She was one of those.
Okay.
And I think she's doubled for a number of the actresses.
Well, I actually thought she was a fine actress, so maybe she should
great.
just be in a you know, I at least with her, I could totally buy her kicking people's ass because she can.
Yeah,
she really knows how to fight, and she can act pretty well as well. So
yeah, there's another woman as well who's part of his training.
Oh god, she gets thrown onto those steps.
The stairs! Man. Fuck me, that looked amazing. She was. It
looked amazing, but I was just like, Jesus.
But they do a really good job of. They're both, they're both fighting women, so they both,
yeah.
But you see them getting beaten by bigger dudes. They're holding their own.
It's a realistic fight.
Fucking
yeah.
Knocked down by these dudes.
That's the thing with this movie that I quite like is I do enjoy. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoy the martial arts movies that become like a dance. There's something quite beautiful about those kind of movies.
Absolutely.
And I like that. This is the opposite of that. This is very grounded and real, and like you feel every punch. You kind of feel it.
Yeah.
It's very visceral and very realistic. Like you said, there's a lot of chokeholds and a lot of actual wrestling moves and things, and actual it feels like every punch lands, and like I said, there were bits that I winced at, particularly when she got thrown onto the stairs. I was like,
that one
God,
that was a real oof. Yeah, that was a really good stunt. I love that.
I think whenever it involves someone's back, I'm always like, oh God, oh God, back or neck. I'm like, Jesus.
I actually thought the main guy, what's his name, Emilio Sacrea.
Yeah,
I would happily watch him in another movie.
Dude.
I thought he was a really good presence.
He was an amazing presence, and he is in terrifying shape. Like, you genuinely believe he could take out a bunch of people.
I mean, there were these really cool close-ups of his face.
Yeah, and
you can see every emotion on it.
He's a pretty good actor in this. Yeah,
you can see all his frustrations.
Yeah,
you can see the love he has for his daughter.
Yep.
It's a wonderful performance, and I really loved it. I thought it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm sure again, is it the best movie ever? No,
oh
sure,
God, no. But it's fun.
There's quite a few things wrong with it, but if you just want a fun, adrenaline-fueled
martial arts movie,
chase movie with great fight scenes, this is it. It's really fun, and I really enjoyed it. And I will, this is a movie that will probably stick with me because I just, there's. He's got the cat in the box and stuff. There's lovely little bits that I thought were fantastic.
No, I agree. I thought this was a really fun movie. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely recommend it. It's a short movie. It's like an hour and 20 minutes or something. If you want something to escape to and just watch a good, chase fight movie, really good fun. So, what else have you watched?
So I also watched Roleplay.
Roleplay.
So this is an Amazon movie.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Thomas Vincent. Stars Kaylee Cuoco and David Oyelowo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got Bill Nye in it and Connie Nielsen. So this is basically we've got Emma Brackett and David Brackett, who are husband and wife, and Emma is an assassin. So she basically goes out and she does her little murder missions. And
does her little murders.
Yeah, she does her little murder missions, and she comes home to her loving husband, who has no idea that she's a...
Is it a Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of deal?
It's sort of,
or is it True Lies in reverse?
Yes. That's
okay.
Probably a better...
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like True Lies.
So it's... Yeah, it's more that. It's that instead of being an agent, she's an actual assassin.
Yeah.
And he has no idea. He's just, the homebody.
Yeah.
Well, he's not quite a homebody, but he's they got two kids. And their marriage is feeling a little stale. So, David buys an outfit for her to wear. He buys this nurse outfit, and she's like, "Is this what you want me to wear?" And he's like, "You want me to be someone else?" And he's like, "Kind of." And she says, "Do you want to be someone else?" And he says, "Kind of." So she says, "Okay, well then I'll tell you what. Why don't we get a babysitter, go to a hotel. You know, we both turn up as different people. You know, we don't know each other. We're these, you know, just two different people. We'll have an interesting evening. We'll meet each other and we'll see what happens. And he's like, oh yeah, that sounds fucking great. We'll do that. So they do that, but they get there. However, Bill Nye is there, and he starts buying them drinks, and he starts saying things about how I bet she has a winning personality that slays all the people, and
okay,
clearly
he knows her.
She is.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, she has to deal with that situation. It turns out that she was part of a organization called Sovereign, run by Connie Nelson's character, and she was basically brought up by Connie Nelson and to be an assassin, and at some point she decided to leave and
go rogue,
which doesn't quite make sense, because you think, okay, so she doesn't want to kill people anymore, but or she just doesn't want to kill certain people anymore. It doesn't really sort of make that much sense, because she goes, oh, I wanted to leave, but you didn't just stop. You left, and then it's like, oh, but I only kill people every now and again. It's like, okay.
See, they should have gone with the cliched, like, oh, I was forced to kill a woman and child, so I quit. You know, I was forced to kill a kid, and then I quit. Then you're like, okay, cool. You're not you're a killer with a conscience, and you're not going to kill children or something. Yeah, I can get behind that. But when you just like, well, I'm not killing many people.
They sort of do a half-assed job of that.
Yeah,
it's not sort of, oh, you know, it's like, you know, it's not like Leon is like no women, no kids.
Yeah, but that makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's like...
or if you're a beekeeper and you're part of a national organization called Beekeepers.
Yeah, exactly.
And the old woman that you look after bees for commits suicide, and then you go and kill everyone in the call center.
Yeah,
that's a movie. I'm so gonna watch that movie when it comes out.
I know it looks. I think it
looks terrible. I'm
totally gonna watch it.
I know. I have to watch it. So yeah, okay. Well, it's a shame they kind of botched that, but
so it's billed as an action comedy.
Yeah,
it's not very funny.
Oh, that's a shame.
There were a couple of bits with David Oyelowo's character, with, you know, when he finds out about what his wife is and stuff like that, and there's a couple of scenes where he's quite funny.
Yeah. Because she's quite a funny actress when she wants to be. So
Katie Coates great.
Yeah.
Usually, and annoyingly, she's okay in this, but it's just the pacing's all off. It drags, and it's like I wanted to like it, but it just didn't feel fun or
well, that's
good.
The key thing, isn't it? If it's not fun, yeah.
And annoyingly, she's played not exactly a similar character, but there's a similar situation in a series where called I think it's called The Stewardess, where she
yes, I'm aware of it. I've not seen it. But...
yeah, which she is in, and she's way better in that. It's much better. You know, she does a much better job in that. She's much funnier in that.
Right.
This was just bad. It was, you know, because I think it does such a terrible job of reminding you of all the other movies that it's kind of stealing from, like you said, like, you know, July's and Mr. and Mrs. Smith and way better movies.
The Long Kiss Goodnight, I guess, to an extent.
Yeah, to a certain extent, but it was just sort of really sort of dull. And there were some nice fight scenes. I'll give you. There were a couple of sort of punchy bits. And weirdly, this is also filmed. This was filmed in Berlin.
Oh, really?
So there were like fight scenes on the streets of Berlin. It's like,
you're getting cross-contamination.
This is actually really cool. that was quite sweet. But it just felt very lackluster and very half-assed. It just did not feel like anybody really wanted to sort of make a proper effort. It's felt a bit, ugh. And it was just a very big disappointment. Halfway through, I was like, oh God, I hope this fucking picks up, because this is just so boring.
Yeah.
And it by the end, it was like, okay, fine. And it's like the two mains, they kind of feel like they're okay. They're doing, but they're not doing their best work.
Yeah.
Like, I know that both these people can do better, and this just felt.
Oh, that's a shame.
I can't recommend it. It's even Bill Nye can't fucking.
Oh, Bill Nye.
Pick this movie up. It was just dull and just a bit shit, really.
Okay, well that's a shame. Well, I guess the only thing we've got to talk about now is Reacher season 2. Although I did watch, I had a moment where, when a movie comes on Netflix and you're like, I was never interested in watching that movie, but now it's on Netflix, maybe I'll watch it. I watched about 10, maybe 15 minutes of Morbius the other day.
I know. I saw that and thought, ooh.
No, do you know what happened?
Right. So
I know you do. I'll tell you this. I watched 10, 15 minutes and then I just put Blade on. I was like, fuck it, I'd just rather watch Blade. What I saw it,
Morbius as a character, I really like.
You hate Jared Leto, though, so.
I don't like Jared Leto, and I thought that, the trailers looked like they could have been fun.
It's not like what I saw of it wasn't terrible. It was just really, really average.
Yeah.
Like it was super average. And I was just like, no. It's another movie that's got Matt Smith in it, though.
Yeah, and I've heard he's actually quite good in it.
He's so talented, but he keeps turning up in rubbish.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about.
Who is casting him in this stuff? It's like, dude, he's really talented, but then he turns up in this, or he turns up in Terminator Genesis and gets removed, or, it's like, oh, God, what are you doing?
He was in that really cool, what was it called? There was a really good one where...
The Lodger or whatever it is?
The what was it? Sorry?
There's that movie that I keep meaning to watch. He's in it, and he plays like I guess he's renting his apartment to some people.
Oh, I'm not sure about that one.
It looked like quite a sinister kind of horror movie. It looked quite good, but
okay. Well, he was good in Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
And he was.
I feel like he's good in everything, but he's just
really
in a lot
good
of
in
rubbish.
House of the Dragon. Have you seen House of the Dragon?
No, I've heard nothing but good things though.
You gotta fucking see House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I'm still burnt after.
Will be out this year.
Still burnt after Game of Thrones.
It's on. Yeah, but honestly,
I know.
I think I reviewed it. It's fucking amazing, and he's great in it.
Well, that's good.
He was in this movie a while ago where he's a bad guy. It was not long after he came out of Doctor Who.
Right.
And it's a sort of weird Lost River. That's what it's called.
Okay.
It's a sort of weird story about a sort of a single mother and her kid, and sort of they're living in this sort of weird, sort of dying town, and Matt Smith's this like horrible bully sort of criminal guy, and it's a really odd movie, and it really won't be for everybody. But I really enjoyed it, and I really thought he was really good in it.
Oh, cool.
It was directed by Ryan Gosling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's got Saoirse Ronan in it, Ben Mendelsohn. It's even got Barbara Steele in it. I really enjoyed it. It's a really odd little movie, and Christina Hendricks as well is the mother. I loved it. I thought it was really good, and he was good in it. But yeah, it's a movie that I don't think many people saw.
Oh. Well, anyway, that moves us on to Reacher Season 2. I was quite keen on the first half of this season. And it went a bit downhill towards the end, if I'm honest. What did you make of Season 2?
This season didn't grab me from the beginning.
Yeah, you didn't like it from the beginning, did you? I was kind of high on it for a while. And then towards the end, certainly the last episode, I was like, what the fuck is going on? It's not terrible.
No, that's the thing. Is, to be honest, even at its worst, it's still better than most of the fucking series.
Yeah, I had a good time.
But like, out there. So it's not a bad series. It's just such a come down from the first season.
Yeah, and the well, I don't want to spoil it, but the end bit when he's hanging off the helicopter, I was like, it would be so easy to kill him right now. Like ludicrously easy to kill him right now in the situation you've set up here. None of this makes any sense. Just kill him and throw him out of the bloody helicopter. The
last episode was like
bizarre.
I watched it with my wife, and I said at the end of it, it was like, wow, they really did cram in as much sort of end as they possibly could into that.
Where did all of this? Where was all of this earlier in the series? It just like comes out of nowhere.
They tied everything up and they finished everything. I said, yeah. I said, but it was the way they did it. It just felt like, and now this happens, and now this happens, and now this happens, and now this happens, and now this happens. It's like
the bit when the Homeland Security agents who were there to deal with these baddies and get the money back. Go to Reacher. What about the $65 million that we need to collect? And he's like, "Oh, what $65 million?" And just walks off with the briefcase full of money. And I was like, "What? They're just going to let him go, are they?"
Yeah,
with $65 million of fine, no questions asked. Okay,
it was really weird because you think, okay, if he'd hidden it and didn't say anything,
that would make sense,
but
right?
The fact that he
he's literally got it in his hand.
Okay, he is a badass and that.
I know.
There's like a fucking group of you there with all guns.
It's Homeland Security. Yeah, right. That was yeah. So I enjoyed the ensemble cast. I did enjoy that. And I had a really good time watching it. I don't think it's anywhere near as strong as the first season.
I think it suffered from the fact that in the first season, the other two sort of mains
were great.
Were fucking amazing. They were great. They were really good characters. They were really good actors.
I was really pleased when he turned up in this. I was like, for a moment, I was like, yay!
I was kind of waiting for the girl to turn up as well, but she didn't, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I think the dynamic with this set of characters was meh.
His relationship with Neagley, that works well.
I don't know what it is about her.
Oh, I like her.
I find her compelling.
Oh, I do. I quite like her. I wasn't so into the love interest this time around. No. I didn't. It felt like in season 1, it felt like they had chemistry.
Yes.
It feels like there's no chemistry here. No. It's like we have been told we're in love, therefore, and it was like I'm not feeling this at all. Yeah,
I thought that too, and I think the only character I really liked was the loudmouth.
He's great. The bit when you see his family in the family home dynamic, that was fantastic. I loved that.
I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
I even though there was no real reason for it, I completely convinced myself, and my wife had as well, that for some reason his love interest was a bad guy.
Yeah, I thought that for most of the
there was
show.
No evidence at all.
No, I thought the same.
But there was just something about her.
Something about her.
It was turned out to be a bad guy or something. There's just
something about her performance, I think, that just kind of screamed double agent bad guy. But she, spoilers, she's not.
But I even think Reacher was just not as good in this season. He felt dumber.
He did feel dumber. He made some pretty dumb decisions, considering he's always meant to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
But
there was really weird because, like, in one episode, he'd be like, he'd see evidence and he'd go, "Oh, this means this and this means that, and if that means that, then this means this." And you think, "Okay, yeah, that is." And then he'd say something, and you go, "You're an idiot! What the fuck? That's just how do you make the same sort of things? It just doesn't make sense." I think he was just written inconsistently.
Can I ask, as an aside, because I felt like it felt really forced and weird. The end of the series, sorry.
Yeah.
Reacher's on the bus and he talks to some old fuck.
Yes.
Is that Lee Child or someone that I'm meant to care about? because it felt like a cameo that I just didn't understand, because it felt really forced, and I was like, is this someone that's related to the Reacher books or in some way important that I'm missing? Because that dialogue felt so forced that I was like, this feels like a forced cameo to me. I don't know whether it was or not. Maybe it's not.
It's not Lee Child.
Oh, it's not Lee Child. Lee Child's way younger. I've just looked him up on Wikipedia.
I know what he looks like.
Yeah.
I think he appeared in the first season.
Okay.
I think he was like he might have been a detective. He might have been a copper or something.
Okay. Yeah.
I know he's in one of the movies.
Right.
There's a bit where Tom Cruise goes into, I think it's like is it the army base or something, or cop station?
Was that the second one? Yeah.
And I think he's in. He's on the desk.
So okay.
I know what he looks like.
Oh. I don't know. It just felt kind of weird, but
I think it was just there to sort of
set up season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also don't know whether it felt so sort of weird because it's 2 books.
Is it 2 books? Is it?
Yeah, because in the beginning it says based on whatever they were called, this and this, and
oh no, so I think Bad Luck and Trouble is one book.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I thought it was 2, but
no, I think it's one book called Bad Luck and Trouble, but it may be that there was another one as well. But I think Bad Luck and Trouble is the name of the book.
Oh, okay.
So my dad has not watched all of this season yet. He is like the Jack Reacher expert, so I'll report back once he's watched it as to how close it is to the books.
Because I've not read the books either.
And my dad's a huge fan of the books, like massive, and he loved season 1 of this.
Yeah.
Like he's rewatched season 1 of this way more than any human probably should. So I'll let you know what he thinks once he's seen it. So it's not terrible. I enjoyed it.
It was still good.
Yeah.
And it was still enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a complete come down from season 1.
I'm definitely ready. I don't know. The next one's based on the Persuader. I don't know what that is about, but I'm kind of ready now. I enjoyed this ensemble thing. I'm ready to see Reacher on his own again, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. Who knows?
I mean, oh, for fuck's sake, Robert Patrick was great as the bad guy.
I loved the Sarah Connor bit. That made me laugh.
And the Sarah Connor bit was fucking funny.
That was funny. Yeah. Yeah, he was really quite scary as this villain. That was the other thing as well. That last couple of episodes when Reacher gives himself up.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, well, we can't kill you because you're not going to tell us anything." I was like, they're going to submit him to horrendous torture though. Look at what they've done to people already. And all they did was like punch him in the face a bit, and I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
Like I assumed going there was a death sentence for him. I thought he was going to get absolutely destroyed, you know. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. Not as good as season 1.
The cop character.
Yes, the most stereotypical New York cop.
Wasn't it awful?
I feel like I liked the actor.
That's the thing. I like him, and he's great in The Wire and stuff like that. But it just kept making me think of his character in The Wire. It
was the most stereotypical cop character they could have possibly come up with. It was like every stereotype was there, you know? So yeah, I was kind of split on that one, where I liked the actor and I thought the performance was fine, but the script was just not on his side. It's kind of how I felt. But yeah, it was. Yeah,
and I like what your friend Ben said about Alan Richardson and
that was Luke. Yeah,
Luke,
and he was spot on with that. I can't not see that now.
Well, certainly in this season.
Yeah. So my friend said
like
that
in the first season, but certainly this season.
My friend said that Alan Richardson comes across like he doesn't really understand what he's saying. So he's kind of saying the lines, but he kind of makes Reacher come across like a really dumb guy reading off of an intelligent script, you know. And I kind of can't unsee that now.
I did, like I said, I didn't find that in the first season, but I really found it in this season.
Yeah.
It didn't help that some of the things he said in this season were a bit like. I'm sure Reacher wouldn't do that or say that. It seems a bit weird.
Yeah, I don't know though. It might be in the book for all I know. I'm not a Reacher expert. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, I didn't think it was as good as season one.
I mean, yeah, because we are being, like we said, it was still enjoyable and it was still fun. And he's cool. He's a really good presence.
Let's put it this way: I would rewatch season one and probably will again. I'm not sure I'd bother rewatching this. I've seen it now.
Yes.
I enjoyed it, but I don't think I'd watch it again.
I agree. I would happily watch season one again.
Yeah.
Season two, I'd skip.
Glad I watched it, but it was fine. But yeah, it's worth a watch for sure. Still not terrible.
Especially if you did enjoy the first season, I think you will still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was still better than a lot of the fucking shows out there right now.
There's some great fights in it, some really fun moments. The biker fight was great.
That was good.
I loved that phone call with Robert Patrick where he's like, is there anything you want? What can I give you? And he's like, I want to throw you out of a helicopter. I was like, that was tremendous. Yeah, it was fine. But anyway, we'll see what season 3 brings us. Because it has been renewed, so that's definitely happening.
Oh, I mean,
it's done a lot of money.
It's like Prime's biggest seller right now. So
they've done very well.
It's its most viewed thing. So there's no way they're not gonna carry on.
No. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we disappear?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
What are we going to watch next time, Matt?
I haven't decided. I thought I'd discuss that with you after the show.
Okay, it's going to be a mystery film for next time. So thank you for listening, everybody. And we will be back next week with a deep dive into some mystery movie. But it'll be in the title. This might be the shortest episode of new things we've ever done. We almost finished on exactly an hour, but never mind. Anyway, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next week.